Coach, is today one of those days where you think of the expression, you're not as good as you think you are, and you're not as bad as you think you are?
You must have had our meeting room mic'd. So, yeah, it's one of those days, a little bit. I thought, last night's game was probably closer than a 5-1 game. But, much like I said after the game, I thought Buffalo deserved to win.
What's the biggest takeaway from that game that you were able to kind of talk about in meetings and you want to impart on your players?
Yeah, I think just consistency in our game. When we've shown the willingness to be ultra competitive, we can play some really good hockey. And I don't think we're a team that's going to just, there's not many in the league that win with 1, 2, 3 guys. And the good teams have a whole team that plays, ultra competitive. And, winning playoff hockey, winning road hockey, you need to be gritty, hard. I think our team, when we've done that, we've shown that we can play a good style of hockey.
No one is going to play, nobody plays perfect hockey.
No.
Travis. But how do you avoid these kind of, riding the roller coaster?
Well, it's a bit of a mindset, bit of an attitude, I think, and really enjoying that kind of hockey. And that sometimes takes some time for players, younger players especially. Embracing it is a good word to use, that the hardness of the competitiveness of the game.
See any trends a month in that suggest why the home and road records are so extreme one way over another?
I'm not too worried about it right now. 2 of our best games might have been Vegas and the Ranger game, where I think if we said both those games could win a playoff game, like that kind of game, even though you lost. So it's obviously with the record, it's easy to look at that and say that. We want to have a great home record, but we also want to have a good road record. So I'm not happy with our road record, but also being realistic about it. Didn't like the Colorado game. Wasn't thrilled with the Montreal game. Last night we were probably better than a 5-1 game, and I really liked our Vegas and Ranger game, but sometimes you don't get the results. But for me, the games that we haven't played well, we probably haven't had our whole team playing well. I thought last night we probably had 7 guys that probably were under par from what we liked or would want in their individual game. And when you have that and your special teams aren't great, you're not going to win a lot of road games. And, we got what we deserved last night. And now we've got to learn from it to, move on. There's a lot of teaching moments throughout a season for your group, especially a young group. We've used when we've played well as teaching moments. We've used when we haven't played well also, and that's kind of what today's about.
Coach, could the fight that Brady got into early in the game perhaps affect his game, have an effect on his game last night? He missed almost 9 minutes of that start of the game because of that. Is it fair to?
You'd have to ask Brady. I'm never going to take his aggressiveness out of his game. I'm not worried about Brady at all.
Coach is trying to say, in today's NHL, why is it that any good checks have to finish with a fight?
Yeah, I think you're seeing that a little bit, especially if it's one of your top players. It seems like if it's not, there's not always a fight. I can't speak for the players, but I think teams in general don't want their top guys getting hit hard. I also feel that there's usually, last night there was 2 guys that both agreed to fight. If anything, I think, they might have dropped the gloves before Brady did. And 2 guys that wanted to fight. Fighting's legal in the NHL.
culture that kind of, we're about the same age, 80s, 90s kind of hockey. Like,
Well, there was a lot more, there was a lot more fighting in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s than there are now.
Well, after a good hit, you could pick the number and drink water and finish with a good hit.
Yeah, and maybe that could have happened last night, or maybe two guys decided that they wanted to fight. It wasn't last night wasn't an instigating fight at all. If anything, Greenway's gloves came off first. You've seen it before where sometimes there's a hit and they don't fight till later. Sometimes there isn't a fight. Fighting's also allowed in the NHL. It's not illegal to fight.
How would you maybe assess your penalty kills so far this season?
Probably where it sits. Done a decent job at moments. Not so good at moments.
Is there a particular area that you want to improve on your PK?
Yeah, well, we obviously want to give up less grade A chances. I think we can do a better job of not letting teams set up as well, and we've got a lot of new penalty killers, regular guys that are killing regularly and a different system. So, it's one area that we don't have, especially in the forward group, where we don't have a lot of guys that have done a lot of penalty killing, so we're doing a lot of teaching on the fly. And, penalty killing might be harder to teach than power play, quite honestly, because a lot of players they become better penalty killers later in the league, the longer they've played. Guys that have played the power play have always played the power play their whole life, and they might not even have penalty killed before, and if they did, it was at a much different level of not only execution but thinking, and it's a work in progress.
What did you think of how Linus Ullmark played yesterday?
Average. I'm sure he's probably his harshest critic. He'd probably like a couple back. I'm not worried about Linus one bit. He's going to be fine. He'll find his game.
Do you expect to have Artem tomorrow?
There's a possibility.
I don't think that's shameful that it's not close.
He's close.
Possibility for tomorrow?
Yeah, we'll see what tomorrow brings. They're skated today.
About the style that you think can win in the playoffs, like how much, whether it's video meetings or talking to the team in the room, is that part of the messaging about like these are the moments that can help us in the games that matter, or they
I think it's both. You show video, you have open, honest communication, discussions. We've done a lot of game reviews. Some of them are teaching moments structurally, some of them are situational, and I think our guys, the one good thing about our group is they're willing to watch good video, which everyone does, but also video where they need to learn, and it's never to embarrass anyone. It's always done constructively, but and for the most part they're grasping what we're trying to teach, but there's also the mindset of being an 82-game player and an 82-game player that can win, and that's what winning teams have. A certain way they play. It's just what they are, and you have to sometimes build into that.
This as a coach, do you put on the first minute of the game, the last minute of the game, especially holding down the fort defensively?
Yeah, that's kind of a given once you get to the pro level. The importance of the start, importance of the end of the periods. And we've had some moments where we've given up some goals at untimely matters, but to be honest, if you give up a goal in the first minute or the 8th minute, it's not a big difference. A lot of it more of how you're giving up the goal. And I thought last night we gave up a couple goals just on simple face-off details that we probably weren't mentally sharp. And again, we talk about the process, and you know, you play a shift, you got to be mentally engaged, not just physically engaged from shift to shift.